Riot police are taking a more physical approach to the ongoing anti-government protests in Kiev.
Hundreds of officers are trying to forcibly clear Independence Square, where protesters have been camped for quite some time.
They were under orders to clear Kiev's main square, and Ukrainian police were out in force. With riot shields, they pushed their way past protesters. Pro-Europe demonstrators had barricaded themselves on the square, furious that their government had rejected closer ties with the European Union. The barricades were swept aside.
The police have now broken down the barricades here at what is the very heart of the anti-government protest. They're now pouring onto Independence Square, and the protesters are powerless to stop them.
The protesters sent for urgent reinforcements. The swelling crowd was able to slow the police advance, but other police units moved in from another side. Just hours before, the EU's Foreign Affairs Chief, Ashton, had visited the protest camp. She's in Kiev to help resolve Ukraine's political crisis.
The President of Ukraine has met with the EU's foreign policy chief. Ashton is the latest diplomat to travel to Kiev since mass anti-government protests began. Those followed President Yanukovych's decision to ditch a trade deal with the EU in favour of closer ties with Russia. Speaking earlier on TV, he said Ukraine had a middle way. I'm strongly against opposing relations with Europe in favour of relations with Russia, and vice versa. We need to find a way to coexist. I think Europe will sleep peacefully in warmth if Ukraine has a good relationship with Russia and if there aren't any conflicts, like when the gas was turned off.
2009, Ukraine's president had his political rival, the former Prime Minister Yulia Tymoshenko, jailed for corruption. The EU called it politically motivated. Then this year, the EU tried to broker a free trade deal with Ukraine, but the government balked under pressure from Russia and over a condition in the pact that Tymoshenko be freed. Protests began 3 weeks ago after President Yanukovych announced that he'd pulled out of the EU agreement and instead wanted to sign a trade pact with Moscow.